Today, I would like to share some homemaking motivation. There is a lot to tackle on my to-do list today, and I wanted to share it with you so that we can get some stuff done together. I will be canning salsa today, making fridge pickles, and just tidying up my home in general. My name is Allie, and I'm so glad that you are joining me today. On this channel, I like to share decluttering, organizing, cleaning, and homemaking motivation. So let's go ahead and get started. It has been several days since I was able to get out to my garden to harvest my produce, so I'm starting off my day out in the garden. I really enjoy gardening, being outside in the dirt. It just helps me to refocus and remember to enjoy the little things. Although gardening can also bring along some stress for me. I would say my garden is somewhat large and we really love having home canned food all year, so I do feel some pressure to keep up with it all. I know that I don't have to keep up with my garden, but at the same time, I want to, so I just do my best. Now, like I said, it's been a few days since I was able to get out to my garden, so a couple of my cantaloupe had fallen to the ground and cracked, which was unfortunate, but that's okay. I have a lot of cantaloupe growing here, and it just makes me so happy. When cantaloupe are ripe when they can basically pull off from the vine. If they've already fallen off the vine, usually that means they're a little bit too ripe. These little cucumbers are called munchers, and they are so sweet and so delicious. We love them. And I've also grown pickling cucumbers, which grow so fast and can get too big quickly. I really prefer them small so that I can have little petite pickles to eat. And we've had issues with our corn growing this year, which is so sad, so I'm not sure that these are going to fully develop. I also had a bed of green beans that died because of a watering issue while we were out of town, but this bed has just started to produce a ton. I needed to pick several green peppers for my salsa today, and I also grew this snacking pepper, which is so yummy and so sweet. Today I am picking the last of my peaches, and it's always bittersweet when our peaches are done because they are a lot of work, but they are so yummy and so worth it. So I had waited too long, and a lot of them had been eaten by birds, but if they're still salvageable, we'll just go ahead and cut off the parts that were eaten by the birds and just enjoy the rest of the peach. I am really looking forward to our apples this year. This tree is loaded, and I really hope that they continue to grow and get big. Because last year was really the first year that they actually grew the way that they were supposed to, so this year I'm really hopeful. I wanted to go through the peaches that were already out on my counter and to try and cut them up and eat the ones that are turning too ripe first. So after I did that, I went and took out all of the peaches from the box and I laid them out on the counter so that they don't get more bruised. And now I needed to get things just tidied up in the kitchen a little bit so that I had room to work with the produce that I just picked. And on this particular day, my teenage son was staying home from school the night before. While he was golfing, he got hit in the forehead with a golf ball, and he sustained a concussion, so he needed to stay home and rest. So you might see him wander around a little bit in this video. Now, I had recently been home from shopping at Costco, and I had things out on the counter that I hadn't been able to put away yet. And here I'm just trying to make space on my counter so that I could have room to make my salsa. So it's been a crazy few days with my son getting his concussion and just other parts of life. I was mentally exhausted the day before, and I just couldn't get the energy to clean up. And my husband has been working really hard at his job, and he definitely pulls his weight at home, but sometimes we are both just exhausted and we just can't do it. And I just know that the next day I will likely have some more energy to get some things cleaned up so I don't stress too much about it. I used to stress about it way too much, and it would cause so much anxiety and depression. But I know that if I just stay on top of tidying most of the time, it doesn't take too long to tidy up after days when I just didn't have the energy or the motivation to do that. While I was cleaning out the lunchbox that my son took to school yesterday, I noticed that he did not eat the expensive protein bar. There was a bite taken out of it. It's frustrating, but oh well. I just realized that I won't be sending that with him again. I get comments sometimes questioning whether or not my kids help around the house. Well, no, they don't. They just sit around all day and they watch me work. Just kidding. They do help out. They are assigned chores. They are in charge of putting away their things and cleaning their rooms and doing their laundry. but you will often see me doing their chores and such on my videos just because it happens sometimes. I had to pick up the slack and do the chores for my son, who was home that day because he needed to rest. We do all contribute to the messes and we all help where we can. So I'm definitely not perfect, and I do pick up after them sometimes, but not all the time. And we all know that clutter attracts clutter, so there are just times that I clean it up just because it's driving me crazy. Now I'm laughing here because my husband was out working on cleaning out our sprinkler filter and he came in soaking wet because he forgot to do one of the steps, I guess. But anyway, we had a really good laugh. I have a really bad habit of putting stuff at the top of the stairs that need to be taken downstairs, although most of the stuff I had just sat here with the intention of taking it down right away. Earlier that day, we had some beef delivered to our house, and I used that fish box there to transfer all the meat. Anyway, I just needed to put it out in the recycling. After I took all that food down to the storage room, I brought up some jars for canning salsa, and also that recycling container just needed to be emptied outside. Again, I don't usually put away backpacks for my kids, but I was helping my son put his stuff away that day. And this garbage can, it was long overdue for a replacement. It has cracks and holes, and the other day some peach juice dripped through the bottom and made a big mess. And that was a good reminder to get a new one, which I did. Here I am just loading up the dishwasher with the jars so that I can get them washed and sanitized. And now I'm going to go ahead and move on to making my fridge pickles with the pickling cucumbers that I just picked today. I recently made some that were a little bit sweet and my kids didn't love them, so I also wanted to make some that were just a garlic dill pickle. I will leave both the recipes in the description of this video if you want to give them a try. I think they are both delicious. I didn't want to wait for these 3 jars to go through the dishwasher, so I just washed them by hand so that I could use them right away. And then I went and scrubbed the cucumbers really well, and then I added a little bit of pickling spice to each jar, and then I added a couple of garlic cloves to each jar, as well as a couple sprigs of dill. I know I don't need to cut off the ends of my cucumbers, but I actually prefer it. Plus, I wanted to be able to taste each cucumber before putting in the jar in case they were bitter. And then I filled each jar with the brine and put the lid and ring on, and then I stuck them in the fridge. It's best to wait at least 24 hours before eating them. And then I keep this smaller bottle of vinegar and just refill it with a big jug when it's empty. I keep this jug in my laundry room by my cleaning supplies because I use it for cleaning and laundry sometimes. And here you can see the difference in color of one that has been soaking in the fridge for several days here on the left, as opposed to the one that I just filled on the right. Now I'm moving on to having a late night snack, which is my absolute favorite, peaches and cream. I'm trying to use up some of the peaches that are going bad or have been damaged in some way. I just usually cut out the bad parts, and this is seriously the best snack or dessert ever. I love fresh ripe peaches. This is day 2 of working on my to-do list for this video. So this morning, my 10-year-old son had to have oral surgery for a tooth extraction, and we had to get up really early. So when we got home, I laid down for a little while, and I finally got motivated to get myself up and get going around noon. Anyway, I needed to get my pill container filled up, and this one has an AM and PM side, but I just use it for 2 weeks of medication since I only need to take them once a day. If you're enjoying this video, I'd love for you to join this little community by subscribing. Everybody here is so kind and gives some amazing advice. Thank you if you do. Now I needed to get the blinds opened and pick a few things up in my room and make my bed, and this always makes me feel better. And now I am finally ready and motivated to get my kitchen picked up. again from the night before and this morning so that I could get going on canning salsa. I was getting tired of having a big pile of tomatoes sitting on my counter. So while I was at Costco, I found these really cute hand towels. Mine are getting pretty nasty and I like to wash them daily, so I seem to run out of them pretty quickly. So I decided to go ahead and pick up these towels, and I love them. They are soft, they're cute, and they're absorbent. I wanted to remind you that this is my real life. I am not the perfect homemaker. I guess nobody is, but I often see these amazing women online who make every single thing from scratch and who feed their family homemade meals, every meal. I do try to make dinner most nights, but I definitely don't make breakfast or lunch very often. Now, because my two boys were home from school this day, they both asked for mac and cheese. While I was emptying the dishwasher, I got the mac and cheese started. Yeah, I know that it isn't healthy or the best thing to feed them, but it's fine. I grew up on mac and cheese, hot dogs, and peas for dinner often, and I think that I turned out okay. So we even mixed all of that up into one big pot. And that was just a meal that we all enjoyed. All right, I finally made it to making the salsa. I am first blanching the tomatoes so that the skins peel off really easy. I boil them in hot water for about 15 to 30 seconds, and then I plunge them into ice cold water. And I like to put an old towel on the floor when I'm doing this so that I don't drip too much water across the floor. And we also really like to have our salsa blended up so that there aren't big chunks. Plus, I find it much faster to make. I roughly chop up my tomatoes, onions, peppers, jalapenos, and cilantro, and just blend it all up in my blender. And then I pour that all into a big pot so that it can cook down for a little while. Now, this salsa is really good, either fresh or canned. And again, I'll leave the recipe for this in the description. So I wasn't sure if I would have enough tomatoes to double this recipe. I was about 2 cups shy of tomatoes, and luckily I had an open jar of my canned tomatoes in my fridge, so I went ahead and just used those up. Once I have all the veggies blended up, I add in the salt, sugar, cumin, oregano, lemon juice, and vinegar. I like to add in a large can of tomato paste also to thicken it up some. And then you mix it up all nice and let it simmer for about an hour. I have to make sure to test it to see if it's too spicy or not. I had a batch that was too spicy a little while ago, so I didn't add jalapenos to another batch, and then I mixed those together so that it was just the right spiciness level. Anyway, once it is cooked for an hour, I make sure to mix it well because it does settle to the bottom, and then you pour it into clean jars, wipe the rim, place the lid and ring on top, and put it in your water bath canner. And then you process for 20 minutes before removing it from the water bath. And then you place it on a towel to cool for 24 hours. So I'm curious, have you ever made home canned salsa before? And do you have a favorite recipe? What about the fridge pickles? I would love to hear if you have tried them before. I wanted to get some of the really ripe cantaloupe that I picked cut up so that we could eat it before it goes bad. But anyway, I was really disappointed because this really nice big cantaloupe was mushy and way overripe, and it needed to be thrown out. I do hate wasting this food that I worked hard to grow. Anyway, but I also washed the 2 that seemed less ripe so that I could put those in the fridge. I was too excited to wait until that night to try the pickles, so I grabbed those out of the fridge and ate some pickles and cantaloupe, and they were delicious. I hope you enjoyed today's video. You might like watching this video next where I decluttered and organized my pantry. And if you want to learn how to can peaches or spaghetti sauce or both, you can click the playlist here to watch those videos. Thank you so much for being here today, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.